Hi, Kwame Alexander. How are you?
I am great. Hi, Melissa Taylor. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to celebrate with you the launch of your newest book, Becoming Muhammad Ali. Yes. I mean, it's amazing because I actually don't like boxing and I devoured this book. I really loved it and I kept stopping to tell my husband little tidbits. Did you know? Did you know? And I mean, that's good writing for you, right? I mean, it's the best when
Thank
you just can't put it down. And I review a ton of books. In fact, my laptop's stacked on all the books I should be reading this weekend and haven't. But I do abandon books in the middle because I just don't have time. So it's a testament to how high quality the writing is. It's just so compelling. So I'm excited. I can't wait for people to read it.
thank you so much. We spent a
Yeah.
lot of time. We put a lot of work into this, and we loved writing it. I loved it.
Yeah, tell me about that process. You've done collaborations before. With Mary? What was this process like with James Patterson?
It was a little bit intimidating at first, you know, because I mean it's James Patterson.
Yeah.
Um, but as we got into the process, he's a master storyteller and a master plotter. Like he
Yeah.
knows how to come up with a story, and so he sort of took the reins and figured out what the story was, because this
Okay.
is not just a history of Ali's life. This is a biographical novel
Mhm.
about his childhood.
Yeah.
And then it was just back and forth. You know,
Okay.
Jim would work on the prologues or the openings of each chapter. I'd work on Ali's voice, and we just went back and forth
Mhm.
and for months, and we got into a nice little rhythm. And
Okay.
there were a couple times, Melissa, where I tried to give Jim some notes, some edits.
Okay, how'd that go?
And it didn't go well.
One can always
um,
try.
yeah, yeah. But the end product was pretty amazing, and we had a
It's
great time
amazing.
working together.
Yeah, I mean, I was so impressed because as an author, you're choosing what details to include, right? You can't do every single event that happened in his life. So it's just really compelling what you did choose to tell this story. So I thought that would, yeah.
Yeah, the goal was to find sort of a through line.
Yeah.
And we knew boxing was going to be one through line, like how to get him to like show how he became a boxer.
Okay.
But then there had to be some through lines that kids could relate to.
Yeah.
So so was there a crush in his life? Was there somebody he liked? Um, was there a nemesis? Was there a kid who he didn't like, or a kid who didn't like him, a
Hmm.
bully? What was happening in his family? You know, so we had to sort of figure out what were those through lines,
Yeah.
and then once we knew that, we could just fill in sort of the canvas with these different strokes, these different
Sure.
brushes of life.
What do you hope readers will come away understanding about how Cassius Clay became Muhammad Ali, became the man that he did?
I want readers, I want kids to think that what Ali did, Ali didn't have good grades.
Yeah.
You know, there was a kid who picked on him. Um, he was dealing with challenges just sort of socially regarding injustice in his community,
Mm-hmm.
in his world. Things were happening in his life that just weren't necessarily all gravy. They weren't great. He
Yeah.
had obstacles and challenges, and he still became Muhammad Ali, this icon, this hero for us. So I want kids to think that, hey, maybe I can become the greatest at who I want to be,
Wow.
no matter what my situation is right now. So I wanted to
Yeah.
make Cassius Clay, relatable and accessible, and really serve as a model for young people.
Yeah. Was he always so gifted with rhyme? I mean, or is that you? I mean, his trash talking. I mean, he could have been a rapper or a poet.
Right,
Was he like that
right.
always?
I think so. I think the
Okay.
evidence that I found is that, you know, he became a real trash talker, a rhymer,
Yeah.
um, in his 20s. And so that said to me that it didn't just come out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
like, because we don't come out of a vacuum. So there had to be some things that he did or learned or read about or were read to as a kid. So my assumption in my research, I kind of came to the conclusion that, there were traces of that
Yeah.
humor and
Love it.
and that prankster and that rhyme as a kid.
Yeah, I loved it. Okay. So it's funny, I was talking to a grandma from Alberta, Canada. I have a lot of grandma readers, it's cool, who are just enthusiastic about
Right,
literacy. Maybe they have more time to chat with me. And she was explaining
right.
she bought one of your books for her grandson, and she says it's syncopation, it's music. And I know you've said that before with jazz. How do you explain it to people who don't know what a novel in verse is?
I don't try to explain it.
You don't?
I just
Okay.
say it's a novel.
Okay.
And because people have this sort of, weird kind of opinion of poetry,
Yeah.
and and there's fear around it. So I'm just suggesting that this is a novel. It's a
Okay.
beginning, a middle, and an end.
Perfect.
I hope you enjoy it. And so
Yeah.
as you read it, the format of it,
Then they'll
the
see.
format, it's going to be a bit different,
Yeah.
all the white space and so forth. But after a few pages and you're into it and you're enjoying it, I think you're going to forget that it's poetry or that it's verse. But the poetry and the verse is what makes it special.
Yeah.
And hopefully by the end of the book, you kind of say, well, maybe I want to read some more novels in verse.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, the figurative language is amazing. And I was thinking, as because I teach kids writing too, how long does it take you to come up with a simile? Does it just come into your head, or do you ponder it for days and days? I mean, or is it both?
It's both. I mean,
Is it okay?
yeah, I can come up with a simile and it'll just come off the top of my head, but it won't be that good. And it can take hours. It can take a couple of days of coming back to it to get it right.
Okay.
Absolutely. Or to get the
Yeah.
metaphor right, or to get the rhyme scheme right. I mean, yeah, that's a challenging but quite enjoyable process for me.
Yeah. I love that. And I'm going to tell that to all my young writers because it's all about revision. It's just not what you
Oh,
throw
that's
down the page the first time.
revision is the most important part. That's the real writing right there. The
Yeah.
rewriting. That's the real writing.
Yeah. Yeah. Darn it. It's hard for younger writers, but yeah, I love that. Thank you. Okay, how are we doing on time? I really want to respect your time. Let me just see. I think we've talked about this is kind of off the topic of your book, but I did want to ask you a couple questions about, all your books. I know you're engaging kids, you're getting them to read, and you're writing about things that represent the real world, culture or
Mhm.
race. And I am super frustrated continuing to see so much of this dead white guy canon everywhere, And how do you so like for my daughter's school, I've written letters and letters and letters, and it doesn't work. What do you think works to change that? You know,
Wow.
is there anything? It's frustrating to me.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think uh, I think PTAs are really important for that kind of stuff. Like
Okay.
I've I've been a part of PTAs and tried to make sure that that more books are representative of the world we actually live in, and
Yeah.
not just books that, like, as you said, are books by dead white poets or dead white men, or what have you. um I've talked to the teacher. I went, when I go in the back when we could go to school, and we could go into schools physically,
Mhm.
um at parent teacher conferences, I would look at the bookshelves and
Mhm.
I'd say, well, what about more books by Black authors in particular?
Yeah.
And sometimes I get feedback, well, we only have award-winning books. And of course, that would be my thing, where I'd say, well, I won the Newbery
You
medal.
know you did. Yes. Mm.
So I kind of use that. I mean, you got to use whatever you can,
Yeah.
but I think it's important to share your voice, to raise your voice, to lift it, and with the librarians, with the teachers, with the
Yeah.
principals, and just be relentless. You got to
Yeah.
be relentless.
Okay. I will. Yeah. I
And
mean,
also donating books to the school, giving them some books.
okay. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Back to becoming Muhammad Ali, and you do not have to talk about this if you don't want to. We can cut it out. But I was really struck reading this taking place in Louisville.
Yep.
I'm so sorry. Can you address that at all? How little has changed, or do you want to just skip that? I know this is a book tour.
Yeah, I don't know if any of us can really skip that anymore.
Okay.
In this, I mean, the world
I
is America is revealing what it is, and it's so sad and it's so unfortunate, and it keeps happening, and it's got to stop. And I try to remain hopeful, but I don't know, Melissa. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of hope, and I'm a pretty optimistic person.
Yeah.
But it's things that got to change, and I feel like the more people who speak up, who shout, who protest, who lift their voices, like Ali did, Melissa.
Yeah.
You know, he did the things that weren't popular by not
Mm-hmm.
going to the Vietnam War. You know, he spoke up for the things that matter. I think more people got to do that, Melissa.
Okay.
You got to do that, and I think if we do that, maybe there's this groundswell of goodness that's gonna just, destroy all the negativity and the wrong that's happening.
Yeah. The injustice. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Because it was just so profound reading your book the day before the news came out about the indictments for Breonna Taylor.
Right.
It was just so interesting going Louisville, how many years apart? Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What else do you want readers to know about this book?
I think it's the best book I've ever written, but my father says I say that about every book. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
Yeah. No, I hope your listeners, your viewers, I hope you all check it out. And I
Yeah.
just really thank you, Melissa, for taking the time to chat with me about it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You as well.
Thank you. All right. Take care.
Good stuff. All right. Thank you.
Bye.